use explicit violence in your writings?
It's what I do, is one answer. I write horror fiction. There is a kind of curiosity that we have as human beings about our life processes. One of our last life processes is death. It's a legitimate subject for curiosity. We shouldn't be ashamed that the macabre or the morbid exercises some fascination upon us. I tell it like it is. If it's there in my mind's eye, I put it on the page. And that seems to me to be a legitimate way to write.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining the Written in Red podcast. That is the Horror Reader and Writers podcast. We want to thank you for the support on YouTube and also checking us out on iTunes and Spotify. Those subscriptions and reviews are always really awesome, and we certainly appreciate that. We have an incredible show today, and we're going to be talking with two-time Splatterpunk Award winner Wesley Southard, which should be a bunch of fun. What do you guys think?
Excited. Wes is a great author, so I think he'll have a lot of cool stuff to share with the listeners.
Yeah.
It looks like you met him?
Yeah, well, at KillerCon when it was live 2019, which is where I got my first signed copy.
No, he flex on everyone.
Damn.
Don't be hating.
Yo. Well, is somebody missing? It feels different this week. The show.
I know this seems great. I don't know.
This is incredible, right?
We missed Carver Pike. Carver had to be out today. He had some things he had to take care of, but
what's he taking care of, Roland? Can you tell the listeners what it is?
He is collecting bull semen.
He is. Yeah. That is how he keeps his hair from moving in hurricane force winds. So bull semen with a hair dryer and one of those curly roller brushes. So we miss you, Carver.
Don't be hating on Carver because he got the best hair on the show.
Easily. I mean, clearly I'm
literally has the best hair on the show.
I'm lacking.
I have a white afro.
Yeah. And not only on Aaron's head either.
It gets dangerous.
So the drapes the carpet does match the drapes.
It's being infected slowly but surely, yes.
it's like climbing down his body.
It's like fucking Creepshow, the green slime, you know?
Oh, like, that's my favorite episode of Creepshow ever.
That's a good one, right?
Yeah.
But let's do our intro real quick, then we'll do just some real quick housekeeping and get right on to the guest because we know you guys are going to want to hear from him. So, again, my name is Aaron Beauregard, the Splatterpunk Award nominated horror author of such works as The Slob, Nightmare Nirvana, Scary Bastard, tons of others. And be on the lookout for my new book, Modern Hysteria, that's going to be dropping probably right around April Fool's, motherfucker.
All right.
Ooh.
Daniel?
Daniel J. Volpe, the Splatterpunk Award nominated author of Talia and Left to You. My new book, Only Psychos, will be out by the time this airs. It's on Amazon, paperback, ebook, hardcover. If you want signed copies, send me a private message and I'll get that out to you. Roland Bursey Jr.
Everybody keep in mind, short and sweet, Roland Bursey Jr., author of Abortion, Payback is a Witch, Pre-Thanksgiving Stress Disorder, A Necromantic Love Story, and Homegrown Comeuppance. Some of those are in collections, but I'm also working on something new. Hopefully we'll have that out sometime this year. Well, it'll definitely be out sometime this year. And since Carver's not here, I'm going to jump on and just go ahead and talk about Carver. You guys know him from his Diablo Snuff series. He just released The Maddening is the, the final of the Diablo Snuff series. And did he talk about Faces of Beth?
Yeah, he mentioned it, I believe.
Yeah, so he has this new book coming out, Faces of Beth. You guys know and love Carver, so definitely check out his stuff.
All right, and guys, just want to let our readers and listeners know that we're going to be, again, at Scares That Care coming up on April 1st, right, that weekend. And it looks like all signs point to the four of us having our Written in Red book there that's produced by, well, it's a chapbook by Jack Bantry of Splatterpunk Magazine. You guys may have seen the cover reveal in our Written in Red podcast discussion group on Facebook. If you haven't checked out the discussion group, check it out because the cover's fucking awesome. It's called Exits, a collection of contemporary urban legends, one by each of us.
Yes.
And I think it's pretty awesome. I've gone through it, and it looks like it's going to be pretty badass. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, these stories they're gonna be brutal. You know, we each kind of picked something from our home state, and I think that if the cover's any indication, it's going to be violent and bloody. So I'm very excited to get this to the readers. Hopefully, like Aaron said, this should be out in plenty of time. We're going to probably more than likely have copies at Scares That Care. That if you guys are there, you can get them signed by all four of us. It'd be a cool little collection piece. And I believe this is going to be a one and done kind of print. I don't think it's going to be an ebook. I think it's just going to be limited copies that are going to be produced. So if you guys have any interest in this book, do not wait on it because I guarantee they're probably going to go pretty quickly.
And I love the interior. We all have interior illustrations within each of our stories. So I thought that was pretty clever and also another nice touch that's going to be something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, great point, Roland. It's gonna. I definitely thought the illustrations came out awesome, and
so good.
So I'm really looking forward to Scares That Care, and I think hopefully looking forward to interacting with some of our readers there and bringing some exclusive shit for people to check out. But what do you guys think? Is there any updates that you want to give? I think. Next episode we're going to be shifting over to mailbag and answering some questions from folks.
Yeah.
But as we're doing, I'm going to remind people as we're doing these guests and interviewing folks on the show, we are going to be opening it up in the podcast discussion room on Facebook for you guys to put questions that you have for these guests as we announce them. So be ready for that.
Some pretty good questions too.
Absolutely. I thought the questions were awesome. Matt Shaw's maybe a bit inappropriate, but
it's highly inappropriate.
Nothing is inappropriate on this show.
I would not.
Does not even exist on this show.
I expect nothing less from Matt Shaw, and I hope he continues to give us high caliber, quality questions like that for the future guests.
I think he should do that for each guest. He should have a very special question for each guest.
Yes, absolutely.
And hopefully we'll get him on soon too. As we get closer to the release of our book, I really do want to get him on because it was I think it'd be a fun process to talk about writing that with him, but really even more so just his entire career. I mean, that is a wealth of knowledge for the listeners, and an hour and a half ain't going to be enough. But we'll get what we can, and hopefully it works. And if you guys have anybody you want us to try and get on the show that you'd like to see, feel free to send us a suggestion, right? Or if you have any questions, you could shoot those over to writteninredpodcast@gmail.com.
Hey, you got it.
Yeah.
Finally.
You got it.
First fucking time.
Yo, my idiocy has been cured. But... But I think that's what's that, Roland?
So go quite that far.
You're shit on
Yo, I shined up my shoes too quick.
Yeah.
All right, guys. But anything else you guys want to talk about before we get into our guest? That sounds very sexual. Damn.
Yeah, I would say interview our guest, but not get into our guest. But
we can get into him. It's up to him. The only thing I want to say is that we miss and love Carver Pike, and he should be back next episode.
Right. And then
his hair will be slick, full of fucking goo, and just ready to talk about it.
Yeah, we'll fucking get back into him too. But all right, guys. Well, let's move on to our incredible guest, Wesley Southard. All right, thank you everyone. Again, we are here at the Written in Red interview segment for our second incredible interview. It promises to be just every bit as spectacular as that first interview. And there's a little layover too, I think, because our interview today has also worked with Lucas, who was the first interviewer last week. We want to welcome the incredible Wesley Southard, 2-time Splatterpunk Award-winning author.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me on, fellas. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for
I've been watching this show. I've been watching it for maybe like a month or so, and I've got about halfway caught up on it, but I really, really like the show a lot, actually.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I believe you were one of our features earlier on as well. I think Daniel featured some of your work.
Yeah, I think it was like about a month ago, I think.
Yeah, which is dope, because it's always good to kind of get into the head of some of the people that we're spotlighting, because you're definitely one of the people that the reader portion of the show definitely has enjoyed and let us know about. And we did ask for a couple questions also with the readers sort of like leading up to this, and we're going to hit on those in a little bit, but we usually like to start out with sort of a general question. Roland, you want to hit them with it?
So yeah, Wesley, I'm gonna ask you, like, when did you know you wanted to start writing, and then kind of take us on that journey afterwards when you got established and started.
Yeah. So I'll be completely honest with you guys. I didn't grow up wanting to be a writer. That wasn't a thing for me. I wanted to work at Jurassic Park. I wanted to be one of the Men in Black for years, and that didn't work out either. But I started playing guitar when I was like 13, and that's all I wanted to do, is I wanted to be a musician. I had such a hard-on for being a musician. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be a heavy metal guitar player. I wanted to be in a band, and I wanted to live on a tour bus the rest of my life. And I went to the Atlanta Institute of Music in Atlanta, Georgia for college, and graduated from there in 2007. And then I moved back home, and I just wasn't happy playing music anymore. I don't know, I kind of fell out of love with it, and I still love music itself. Oh, I think my camera cut out a second. I still love music more than anything in the whole world, but I just wasn't enjoying playing it anymore. I couldn't find the people to play with me, and the people that I was happy with. And I don't know, I kind of rediscovered reading very heavily around the same time, especially like when I was in college. I was very heavily into Brian Keene, and then reading all of the authors that he was suggesting to read, and it just kind of exponentially grew, and I became a massive fan of like the small press and like the old school hardcover presses, like Delirium and Bloodletting and Cargo Cult and Cemetery Dance and Necessary Evil and all those, and I loved it. And then in 2007 I went up to Indianapolis, because I'm originally from southern Indiana. Drove up to Indianapolis with my friend, and to meet Brian Keene at a signing he was doing at a small convention called MoCon that was run by author Maurice Broaddus. And I met Brian, and he was the nicest person on the planet. And I just remember afterwards, I was just sitting there with my signed books, and I just thought, I love to read a lot. I don't know, maybe I should try writing. I need something to do. I don't know. I'm not happy playing music anymore. I just need that creative outlet. And I went home and started kind of spitballing on ideas for like a novel. And I went over to my best friend's house, and I told him about it. And we kind of just started throwing ideas back and forth, trying to figure out what I should do. And what came was what eventually became The Betrayed, my first novel. And it's just been kind of going steadily, I guess, uphill since. So yeah, so that's kind of my thing. I know a lot of authors have that thing where like, oh, I was writing since I was 3 years old and this and that, and that's great. That's just not my story, unfortunately. But I'm happy with my story.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, of course, it's your story, and it's a unique story, and that you seem like you're a creative person in general with either music or any kind of form of art. It just seemed that you'd channeled that creativity away from the guitar, and luckily it's a horror fiction, which I know I'm happy about. So that's a cool story.
Oh, thank you, man.
Did you always want to start writing horror, or were you interested in other genres as well?
Oh no, I've been a diehard horror fan my whole life. I mean, I grew up like most people, most millennials. I grew up, reading every Goosebumps book and being obsessed with those. And I grew up staying up late on Friday and Saturday nights and watching Monster Vision with Joe Bob Briggs and USA Up All Night with Gilbert Gottfried and Friday nights I remember staying up real late and watching Tales from the Crypt reruns on Fox, and just devouring old horror movies. I remember the very first, I believe the very first horror movie my dad ever showed me was Phantasm, and then right after that I think he showed me Evil Dead, and then it's just gotten crazy since. I love horror. Horror is my life. If it wasn't movies, then it's books or just whatever. But yeah, I love it. It just makes me so happy. I mean, hell, I'm wearing my Fulci zombie shirt right now. It's like, I still remember the first time I still remember the first time I saw that movie in high school with a friend of mine, and I was just blown away by it. And I mean, you all know I'm a fucking diehard Lucio Fulci fan, so horror's always been my thing. Oh hell yeah.
That's awesome, dude. It's funny, Wes, because like I kind of parallel your path a little bit, like with the music stuff, and it's like what I thought was so cool about transitioning into writing was just that you didn't have to depend on anybody. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
that was the biggest thing.
Like what I imagine, like when you were in your band too, and it's like, fuck, like who's gonna get into a blow up this week, and then now it's the next drummer, and it's just like restarting over so many times, and it's like you're kind of like so invested in something that you want to do, but then if those other parts aren't working all polished properly, it could be all for nothing. You know what I mean?
Oh, so. Absolutely. Yeah, that was the biggest thing that's the biggest thing as a writer. I mean, unless you're co-writing a project, you are responsible for yourself. That you are number one. You don't have to worry about anybody else. You're responsible for your output. So, it was so hard to find after I moved back home. It was so hard to find other musicians that were dedicated enough to want to be serious enough about it. And, I'll tell you now, I have a newborn. He's about to turn 3 months old.
Oh, wow.
And I told my wife, I said, I would love for him to be, I would love for him to be a musician. But I'll try to push him away from playing guitar. I'd rather him play bass or drums because guitar players are a dime a dozen. We need more bassists and we need more drummers.
Yeah, totally,
yeah.
Dude. And
those guys are always going to have a job.
Yeah, right. Definitely. We certainly couldn't get enough of them. But yeah. I found myself leveraging, sometimes I would wonder, and I don't know if it's the same for you, like, oh, what if I had started earlier? Like, what could I have done if I had put more work out earlier and, like, figured out, like, writing was going to be the thing for me. But I also, in retrospect, think, as far as those experiences that I got from doing music for so long and just fucking crazy things that happen and parties, and in a way there's a lot of inspiration that really maybe your writing wouldn't have been as good without, so what's your take on that? Do you think do you find yourself leveraging those experiences, or do you wish you had started earlier?
I mean, I wish I started earlier writing, but at the same time, like I said, it's just my story is my story. It's just I started when I started, and I always think, like, what if I didn't go to music school? What if I went to a real college? Okay, well then I wouldn't have ever met my wife. I wouldn't have ever had my kid that I have. I wouldn't have met all the people that I know. I wouldn't have moved to Pennsylvania. I wouldn't have written this book or that book, or became very good friends with my my mentor, and just everything I was on a specific path, and that's where I'm at right now. And I don't know, like, it is what it is. I'm happy with where I'm at right now. I wouldn't change a thing.
Now, Wes, for inspiration-wise, you obviously have a heavy music background, and the one book that I did read from you, I got from you, One for the Road.
Oh yeah.
This won a Splatterpunk Award, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. And this is about a band. Are there any true stories in this book, or did you leverage anything from your band day? I mean, you don't have to give anything too specific, but obviously it seemed very personal. Like it was a good book, and the characters are really well done. So did you pull any real life inspiration for that book?
Yeah, I think so. But the thing is, like, I was only ever in one actual band, and we never really toured. We never even really played a show either. We did one show at our high school, which was like not even a battle of bands, it was just a band showcase. And I remember our amps were so far on opposite ends of the stage, and the drummer couldn't hear anything, and the drummer was just playing what he thought what he was in time, and it was really embarrassing. But no, I just kind of pulled from experience, especially like in music school. Like I pulled from, like, all the characters are basically people that I knew in school, like the bassist and the drummer specifically. But I don't know, that book was so easy to write. I had so much fun with it. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart. Yeah, I wanted to write something that had absolutely no rules. Because, like, when you're writing specifically, like, supernatural horror, you got to have your limitations and your rules for that world. Well, I wanted to write something that absolutely had no rules whatsoever. I wanted it to be bonkers and crazy and fun and weird and surreal and bizarre and all over the place. And that's still to this day the most fun I've ever had writing something. And I still can't believe it won that fucking award. That's so bizarre. I was dead set mentally on Saint Sadist from Lucas winning. I thought for sure that was going to be the winner, because that book is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, One for the Road has done a lot for me since that came out. I mean, Deadite, yeah, it came out through Deadite. I just submitted in their open submissions in, what was it, 2018, I think, 2018. And yeah, it was 2018 in their open submission period, and I was one of 4 people that got chosen for publication out of that. And yeah, ever since it came out, I mean, it's been kind of a weird whirlwind ever since. I mean, I've gotten more attention and more book deals and stuff just because of that publication. And I know I've written better work since, but I'm always grateful that book exists, because, like I said, it's a lot of the stuff I have now is because of that publication. So
I think for a lot of us, we always want to have that one big break for us as indie authors. And it seems like you said, maybe it's not your favorite book in the world or your best written, as you said, but for you, it seems like that book was kind of your springboard and led you on to getting to those bigger contracts and writing things that you had a little more, interest in and that were a little more refined. But I mean, I thought it was good. It was a nice short novella length, and
yeah, it's definitely my most fun one for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of
funny. By the way, Daniel, I'm offended right now. You're not wearing your gray hoodie. Like, you wear your gray hoodie in every video, and you're not wearing your fucking gray hoodie.
It's warming up down in my basement, so I only need a flannel and a t-shirt. Usually, if it's in the winter, that was always my gray hoodie.
Okay.
In the summer, it might be a tank top season. I don't know.
With the gray hoodie, you blend into the background there.
Yeah, I'm like a disembodied head.
We could do shirts and skins coming up, though. You got your boys down?
We should do that for like 4th of July or something like that. It'd be fucking festive.
No, but
the skins though. We're all shirts.
I don't even know.
Yo,
it's more like bones. Starts in bones.
It's funny though, Wesley, right? Like, sometimes you'll know. You'll know. Like, man, I've written some like pretty incredible stuff that probably doesn't really get the same attention as certain things, and it's like you wonder what that magic formula is to draw people in sometimes, but it's just like random sometimes, and it's right. And you just gotta hope that the one that does draw like the most people in, is the one that's gonna make you more prolific, hopefully.
Yeah, for sure.
But
But yeah, like the one book that I wanted the worst to be my most popular, I still am having. I'm still trying to build an audience for. And weirdly, the one that I thought like nobody was going to care about was the one that blew up and is still like my bestseller. So I don't know. I don't know what the magic thing is. It's something sparks and people start talking and it just becomes viral. You know, I don't know. I wish I knew how to do that. It just. I mean, I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen just recently with Daniel's book, Left to You. I mean, it's exploded, and the same thing with like the Slob. You know, it's crazy. So I don't know. I don't know what the secret is. I'm still trying to find.
I wish we knew because you'll never get it. You'll never guess. I think it's that combination of marketing, a solid, really eye-catching cover, and obviously a good story. And you can have all that, and the book can still shit the bed.
It's the word of mouth, too, man. That word of mouth, when the people just start talking about it, and it gets this life of its own sort of thing, that's when you know you're good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people are just like, oh, you've got to fucking read this for this reason. You know, they just, whatever, find a different reason. But do you mind, are you comfortable sharing what books you were referring to just a moment ago when you said?
Yeah. I'm still struggling to get like the audience that I want for my novel Cruel Summer. In my personal opinion, I think it's the best thing I've written. I love that book. It's the one I push the most at conventions. It's still my favorite thing that I've written, and I mean it's gotten
it's got a really cool cover on it.
Oh yeah, that McVeigh cover is awesome. I love it. I still smile every time I see it. But I've got the original painting too. A bunch of my author friends that live here locally put in a bunch of money and actually bought it for me. So
that's cool.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. I still haven't been able to hang it up yet, but I need to. I've got it in a nice frame. It's been out in paperback for over a year, and it's been hard finding an audience for it. I don't know if it's maybe the cover or maybe even just a title with like a season in it. Maybe people don't want to read a book that's based in summer during the winter months. I don't know. I don't know why. But it's always gotten excellent reviews. It's been hard to get. That's like the one that I wanted so badly to get that viral attention, and it just never got it. But then like Resisting Madness, my short story collection, from day one and still to this day is still my bestseller. Like it's still going, you know, decently well. Yeah. But yeah, it's always been the most popular.
That's got a really cool cover on it. So actually, I was reading the first story, first story while we were waiting to get this set up, and it's got a really cool cover on it. You know, it looks really well put together. Obviously, that was a Death's Head book as well, but it's that you find sells better than your other stuff.
Yeah, and that always seems to get the people's attention at conventions too. I usually put that on the end of the table, and I have stuff set up a certain way, and they always end up zeroing in on that one in particular, and they always like the fact that it looks like an old VHS box, and and the cover, and a lot of people are like, that looks so like Clive Barker, and I'm like, oh yeah, I never thought about that when we were coming up with the idea for the cover, but yeah, it looks like an old Books of Blood cover or something. But yeah, Justin Kuhn's did a phenomenal job on that cover.
That dude's a fucking wizard.
Yeah, he is.
He's a wizard. Like he does some. I just got a sneak peek. I can't say who it was from, but there's a very old school horror author just shared with me his book coming out from Stygian Sky, and Justin did a painting for his book cover, and it's fucking amazing. It's just the guy's. I can't draw stick figures. This guy's drawing fucking masterpieces. So.
Justin lives about an hour and a half from me. I'd like to meet him one day, but he's so talented. The guy is just wildly talented.
I'm not far from you, so we should go. We can kidnap him if you want. Like he's not that far.
Yeah, he lives like in the Philly area.
Just that's
like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Tie him up in the basement and force him to make covers. You know.
There we go.
Get my walls. Gray walls for me.
Yo, we can pay him in dolls, dude. What do you think?
Dude, I got thousands of dollars worth of dolls here, so fuckers are expensive.
Well, Wes, I'm glad you brought up Cruel Summer because we were going to shift gears into just some of the people in the written and read discussion forum questions. And the first one was from Donna Latham that was about Cruel Summer, and she wanted to know what was the inspiration for Cruel Summer.
So my family has been vacationing to New Smyrna Beach, Florida every year for decades and decades. I mean, before I was born. New Smyrna Beach is a real place in Florida. It's about 2 towns below Daytona, and it's a beautiful, very quiet, relaxed place. It's completely opposite of hellhole Daytona Beach. It's not very super touristy. It's nice, and I've loved it. I've been there almost every year for decades, up until like a few years ago when I don't live here locally anymore, so I can't go down with my parents much anymore. But it seemed very like rife for a story down there because it's the beach part itself is a coastal barrier island. So there's only 2 bridges that go on to this just little island, and that's it. Like if you cut off those bridges, you're kind of cut off. I mean, there's a thin river between the 2, but obviously if you can figure out a way to get people to not cross that river, then you're stuck. But I love that place, and the characters came out very naturally for it, and the story was something I'd been thinking about for a very, very long time. And yeah, I'm exceedingly happy with the way that one came out. I love all the characters and every location in that book is a real location. I mean, hell, I even put a YouTube video up about a year and a half ago of me doing a walkthrough of one of the scenes from that at the Manatee Park. I did a walkthrough of the entire scene, of that entire chapter of that book from beginning to end, of how it went down. And yeah, I'm very, very pleased with that one.
I can imagine like writing something, based on a place that you've actually experienced, and you've been, like, it really brings the story to life because you have that personal experience in that place, so you're able to draw that into the book.
Absolutely, yeah. I try to write in places that I know. Most of my stories, if it's not said that it takes place in southern Indiana, it mentally, as I'm writing it, it's taking place in southern Indiana most of the time. I've just only recently started writing some stuff that takes place in Pennsylvania, and I don't know, maybe that's because I'm not from Pennsylvania. I just happen to live there now. I don't have like a connection to it necessarily. I don't know. Plus I don't ever see any stories that take place like, in southern Indiana, so this is my home. I know this place well. It's easy for me to create fiction that's based in this area.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, good stuff. I think I heard you talking on Bizong. I might have listened to your Bizong interview.
Oh yeah.
When you were talking about Cruel Summer too, and you went into pretty awesome detail. So.
Yeah.
Matt Shaw had a question. He asks, swallow or discreetly dispose of into a tissue?
I think he's referring to gum. I think he's talking about gum.
Is he talking about gum?
I think that's what it was.
If it's gum, then I just spit.
Yeah.
So Matt Shaw, he spits.
No,
something tells me if the author of Cum Shot is not talking about gum, but
maybe I misheard him. He has that an accent, so I don't know.
You swallow like a fucking man.
Yeah.
You guys,
all right.
Me and Matt Shaw had a moment in Austin, so yeah.
Yeah.
Got first-hand experience.
Out of all the guys on the show, the only one I've actually met in person is Roland. We met at 2019 KillerCon.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Your signing book. That was the first time I met you.
Yep.
Yeah.
God, that was a fun show. God, that weekend was so much fucking fun.
That was awesome. That was my first convention, so I got
really
people that I met you, Edward Lee, Matt Shaw. Come on, I've had such a blast. So now
Ed Lee.
Yeah.
Ed Lee is like one of my idols. I've gotten to hang out with him a couple of times now, and he's just the sweetest guy. He's so funny. I love that guy. I got to sit next to him during a premiere of one of my very, very close friends' movies, and he was so drunk. He was so drunk that he was he was trying to stay awake during this movie, and he was making noises to try to keep himself awake. So he was just sitting there next to me in a chair, and he was just going, like he was just like that. He just kept doing that, and I was like, oh my god,
That's fucking Edward Lee.
This is drunk as shit.
What movie was it, if you don't mind me asking? I'm just curious.
What's that?
What movie was it, if you don't mind me
Oh,
asking?
it was Mike Lombardo's movie, I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday.
I never
Yeah,
seen
he premiered it at Scares That Care about, God, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago or so, right after he finished the final cut of it and kind of secretly premiered it to a bunch of us. And yeah, I just took the seat next to Lee and just kind of sitting there watching my very good friend's movie, but at the same time I was like,
Oh, that's great. That's an awesome stuff.
yeah.
That's good. All right, and Dawn Keat asks, this is a pretty good question considering your musical background. She says, "Do you have a playlist that you listen to whilst riding?"
Whilst riding?
Yeah.
I don't really have a playlist necessarily. I'll either just listen to whatever I'm listening to at the moment, or I haven't really talked a lot about this in public because I feel like I'm going to get made fun of if I do, but I've been listening to a lot of ASMR the last couple of years. Like since the pandemic, I just randomly came across ASMR videos for the first time on YouTube. I don't know how I did it. And I was like, what is this? So I started watching these ASMR videos and I was just like, I kind of like this, but I don't know why.
Yeah.
And now I listen to ASMR obsessively now, and it's really weird, but I really, really love it. And it's really nice to have kind of at full volume in my ears as I'm writing because I just hear things, but I'm not having to listen to voices or anything. It's just like noises and like ambient, like weird shit. So I have a really easy time concentrating as I'm staring and writing, as opposed to if I'm listening to music, I keep it very, very low in my ears. So I'm not singing along with it necessarily. It's just background noise. So both are background noises of like kind of extreme differences. But yeah, just know if it's music, it's just whatever I'm listening to right now. Like I'm a huge, I'm a diehard metalhead, but I'm also like a huge Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, and I'm like ecstatic that their new album comes out in a couple weeks. And I've just been kind of going backwards in the catalog again and just kind of re-listening to all the stuff that I love that I haven't listened to in like a couple of years, and just been so I've just been listening to a lot of Chili Peppers lately.
You
Well, it's
guys
funny
are
when you-
sick because y'all all listen to like this death head metal stuff, and I fucking Enya.
Whatever works, man. Whatever
I
works.
fucking love Enya.
What's funny is when I write, I will listen to. I'm like you, Wes. Like I put on like thunderstorm noises. I'll put on like fireplace noises. Like I have to have like some kind of white noise because if I'm listening to music, my brain will start picking up on that even subconsciously. So I will crank like thunderstorms and full volume in my ears and just, just write.
It took me years to learn how to listen to music as I wrote. And what did it finally was at the beginning of 2020. I went with a couple writer friends to Christopher Golden's writers retreat up in Vermont, up in Burlington, Vermont. Stowe, Vermont, at the Trapp Family Lodge up there. And it was in January. It was covered in snow. It was at the top of a mountain. It was absolutely gorgeous. And I wrote for like 2 days straight at this thing, and you just get to look out. I sat in this kind of rec room by myself while everybody was upstairs, like in this big writer's room, and I didn't want anything to do with that. I just wanted to be by myself. And I was just looking out over the snowy mountains, and I had a fireplace roaring behind me, and I was sitting in a chair at a table, and I was like, it's too quiet in here. So I just put on my Bluetooth headphones. I was like, all right, I'm going to force myself to learn how to sit and listen to music as I write. And I just found like the right volume for it, and I don't know. I can't imagine not writing with music now. So
I think like what you guys are saying with this, the auto sensory noise is like the thunder and the fire. That I got to try that. I haven't done that. I get fucking thrown off by any kind of vocals, like, but instrumentals I'm usually pretty good with. So like a lot of times I'll listen to like 80s synth wave kind of shit, like horror synth wave, like creepy horror shit built into synth. And I don't find that to be super distracting, but it kind of sets the mood. You know what I mean? Like you sort of want a darker vibe when you're writing horror, I guess. But
yeah, I don't really have much like mood stuff I listen to. The only like moody thing I listened to as I was writing is when Lucas and I were working on The Final Gate, which is the tribute to Lucio Fulci. So obviously I would pull up either YouTube or Amazon Music, and I would have like the old Fabio Frizzi soundtracks from those movies playing, just to mentally get myself going. So I'd put on like the City of the Living Dead soundtrack, and that'd be just kind of very quietly playing in the background as I'm writing. And I'm just like, yeah, that's right. That's fucking perfect. Yeah.
Actually, brings me into my question I wanted to ask you, and I always like to ask, all authors just because I'm always intrigued. What is your writing routine? Is there anything particular that you have found success with? Do you like to write during certain times of the day, or do you now that you have a child, especially a young child, do you find it difficult to get time, or like walk us through a day for writing?
Well, I like to take a massive shit before I write, so that's number one.
Ooh.
No, no, I like to write at night, not necessarily like late at night or anything. Like I like to write about 2 or 3 hours before I go to bed. I don't know, like I get home from work, and then I see my wife and child and try to spend as much time with them as I can. And then I at least try to go write for about an hour or so, because I could write for maybe 2.5 hours before I'm just like, I'm kind of not necessarily over it. It's not the right way to say it, but I'm just kind of like, all right, my back hurts and my eyes feel like mush, so I need to be done for the night. But now with the baby being here, I'm starting to feel like more guilty as I'm writing, and I know I need to be spending more time with my wife and child. But I've been trying to get in as much writing as I can when I can. Like I'm trying to finish up a novella right now. I'm like in the last 1,000 words. I'm like right at the cusp of finishing it, and I've been right at the cusp of finishing it for like 4 days, because not only have I been out here visiting my parents, but I got the kid now, and it's just it's been hard to find time, and I know it's going to get even harder. And I owe literally 2 novels to 2 different people right now. And one of them is due next month, and I haven't started it. So I don't know what to do, because now I'm going to have to have an awkward chat with one of the people about how I haven't started it yet, although it is almost 100% outlined, like it is ready to go. And yeah, don't tell him, please.
I think he might know.
Yeah, he probably will. But yeah, it's been hard finding time to write right now, especially like now feeling guilty about writing when I should be spending time with them. But I mean, my wife understands. She knows what I do, and eventually I want to be a full-time writer. So this, you gotta find time to do it when you can. If I have to start getting up a little bit earlier every morning, which I don't want to do, but I'll have to do, or stay up just a little bit later. But you find the time when you can. But I don't have any specific writing routine. I usually just like to have a drink with me, or maybe some chips or something. I mean, that's probably why I'm fucking fat as shit right now. Just eating and drinking soda and eating chips while I'm fucking writing. I should be drinking water and eating nothing. But
what's your
I'm fat, so
what's your chip of choice?
Oh boy, I am a Doritos man.
What flavor?
Either nacho cheese or Cool Ranch. But right now I'm in that nacho cheese phase, so I'm just riding that cheese wave.
That's ill.
I'm
good, like a good cheese wave.
And now that I'm in Indiana, I'm getting my ski fix, my favorite drink in the whole world, because I can't get this anywhere else but this area. So that's what I'm all hopped up on caffeine right now.
What is that, like knockoff Mountain Dew?
That's what I said.
It's made by Double Cola. It's made by Double Cola and shit. It's like lemon. It's lemon and orange.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's a little different.
It's that highbrow shit.
Oh my god, it's like God pisses in my mouth every time I take a drink.
Gargle it for us.
Oh my god, gargle it.
Yeah, that's whenever I go down south, I always drink cheer wine, and that's it's like I think it turns my insides red, it turns your shit red. It's so good. I live in New York, so we can't get that up here.
You know what's so fucking gross though? Have you guys ever had Moxie?
I've heard of it. I don't know if I've seen it, but I've heard of it.
Did you have it, Roland? It's like a Northeast thing. It's so fucking gross, man.
Is it a soda or what is it?
Yeah, it's like a soda. I forget what the flavor is, but there's like an old school dude on it. You know, he's like Moxie, and it's orange.
Fuck you.
All right, well, this is some good soda talk, but
Hell yeah.
let me just hit you off with the last two questions from the readers, and then we've got a few more for you, if that's all right.
Yeah, for sure.
Alex Simmons, though, wanted to ask, what is, and you don't have to go super detailed on this, but what's your process from conception to planning to writing? Any memories of writing particular books that stick with him? I know this question can fill a lot of time, but I love learning this stuff.
I a lot of the times after I finish writing something, I will completely forget about like the process of writing it, how I came up with the idea. Like, I guess it's just like that massive vomiting purge of story that finally comes out of you, and as soon as it's done, I just kind of forget about like the conception of it, which is maybe a terrible thing, because I get asked like, well, where'd you come up with that idea? And I'm just like,
it's
shit, I don't remember.
It's usually less spectacular. You're like driving down the fucking road,
right?
And you hit a stop sign, and you're like, "That's it,"
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm a plotter. I'm an outliner. I know that's not a very popular thing. I get a lot of shit from it from my other writer friends that are seat of the pants writers that just sit down and just they already know what sort of the idea is, and they just sit and just whatever comes out, and that's fine because that works for them. I don't like that. I outline everything. I carry this notebook with me, literally this notebook sitting next to me. I carry it with me every day at work, and I have a job where I have kind of a lot of downtime, I guess. My boss wouldn't like it if I actually said that, but I have a lot of downtime, and the job takes very little mental skill to do. So I outline.
They hire him? No.
Yeah, they hire. Yeah, they are. I mean, they pay well, but I hate the fucking place.
You sound like Roland.
But I spend a lot of time at work with my pen out and my notebook open and outline everything from beginning to end, because I just prefer to get my brain in order and the story in order before I sit down and start writing. And I guess maybe there's not a lot of spontaneity in the moment as I'm writing, but I don't have to sit and overthink everything as I'm doing it. I can just open up, my notebook where it says chapter whatever, and I can just read through it and go, okay, I know what I need to do in this chapter, and I just plug away and do what I got to do. And that's just how I prefer to write. I know, again, it's not a popular thing, but that's just the way I do it. That's that, and I have to know what the ending of my story is before I start it. I can't just start writing and I guess I'll just see what happens. Like it's I can't do it. I can't do it. It will drive me fucking bananas, and I can't do it. I have to know what the ending is. That way I know what I'm going toward. So
well, with that fucking book you got to write soon, you might be in that position.
Oh yeah, I already know.
You might just be hopping on there.
The whole thing is outlined in this right now, so it's about 90% outlined, but I already know what the ending is. I just haven't finished the outline yet, but yeah.
Oh, that's right. You got the okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we got.
I outline as well, so don't feel bad.
Okay.
I love it. That's my bread and butter there. I have to. I don't go like too crazy, but I definitely have a definitive outline. I know all the acts, and I know the ending for everything, because I like to be able to sit down if I'm having a rough day, like a writer's block kind of day, and I open an outline and say, okay, this is where I need to go. So I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and it helps if you're fortunate enough to have a spouse that knows what you do and supports you, and you're able to sit and bounce ideas off with. My wife is very good at that. She tends to be very jokey with me when we're doing it at first. And okay, so do you remember that scene or you remember the character, Will Ferrell's character in Austin Powers, the first one, where he had to say, like, screw you, Austin, like 2 times before the third time, and the third time he would give you the serious answer finally because he didn't like anything in threes?
Right.
That's kind of how my wife is. I will try to get her to help me like work through something, and she'll give me like the jokey answer like 2 or 3 times before she finally gets to the real one. So she's like the Will Ferrell for me. But yeah, I'm lucky enough to have a spouse that's very helpful with that. And I was actually having kind of trouble figuring out the end of my novella that I'm working on right now. And she, we were bouncing ideas off with her, and she was trying to say, well, why don't you just end it like this? And I was just like, I don't know. And then something clicked, and I was just like, oh, fuck, it was right in front of me. It's just right there. That's the ending. And I told her, and she was like, I don't know. And I was like, I get out of here. This is what I'm doing. So
listen, when you talk to her later, tell her to bring her podcast back, because I really loved it.
I know.
I was devastated when
wants
it
her to
ended.
bring it back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hell, I wasn't even on it. I was supposed to be like episode number 50, and she stopped at like 42.
Yeah, so. I remember that.
It's a relaunch, though. Maybe you relaunched. She was talking about it, wasn't she? I thought she put up a post about, because you're going Scares That Care, obviously, right?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be at both scares. Yeah, she's gonna come down on Saturday for AuthorCon with the baby. So yeah, she's talking about bringing her Zoom recorder and possibly getting some interviews, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't know when she's going to have time to do the podcast, but she's going back to work this coming week, so we'll see. But yeah, I'd like her to bring her back. She really enjoyed it. She just kind of ran out of time with it, and then the baby happened and just stuff changed. But yeah,
it was a very good podcast. We'll see. Hopefully it resurfaces. But I think I'm with you guys on outlining too. But I think there's more than one way to skin a cat. I think sometimes a story can dictate it too. Like if I get a certain idea that I want more liberty with, maybe, and like more like a putty kind of situation, sometimes it can work. But I feel like as I've progressed as a writer, I've done more outlining. I feel like when I was first starting off, I was doing less outlining and more pantsing, and then sort of as I evolved, there's more outlining. And I feel like you said, Daniel, it's good to know like where your story's going. And actually, I was listening to, there's a great podcast. I'll just bring this up briefly just because we're on the topic, because I think anybody listening to this podcast would probably really like Mick Garris's Postmortem podcast.
I love that podcast.
Did you listen to the Grady Hendrix episode yet?
I have not. I'll be honest. I actually really, really like the AMA episodes.
Yeah.
I really like those a lot. I mean, the interview ones are good too, but I like the AMA ones where it's just him and Joe just taking fan questions. I just really enjoy those because those are really cool.
Yeah, no, I like those too. He had one with Clyde Barker with those.
That was a great episode.
That was really good.
It was really good.
The reason I bring it up is because listeners of this show would like that show, number one. And then number two, Grady Hendrix was on there, and I thought this was cool. He kind of said, whenever he would get, it sounded like he didn't completely outline everything maybe for his stories, because the way he was talking about it was like, if he ever got lost, he looks back to his title. So like for My Best Friend's Exorcism, you know what I mean? He was like, I would look back and he's like, what's this about? This is my best friend's, you know what I mean? And he sort of uses that as like his North Star, which I thought was I had never heard that before, but I thought that was kind of interesting.
It's interesting.
I don't know.
Interesting.
Not sure that it would work for every project that somebody does, but kind of an interesting point.
Yeah.
And, a quick question. When you're writing, do you find yourself editing as you go, or do you just word vomit, get it all out, and then go back to it and clean it up?
Hold on. Sorry. Something's like a bunch of shit's just popping up on my screen right now. Oh,
Is
shit.
it porn?
I'm sorry. No, it's like...
You didn't open that file, did you?
Scan. No, sorry, what was the question again? I got distracted by that shit that popped up. Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
No, I will occasionally just try to push through something and get it the first draft done as quickly as possible, but 99% of the time, I prefer to edit as I go. I don't like to go to work the next day after I wrote 1,500 words, 2,000 words, and I don't want to sit at work thinking about how shitty those words were.
Yeah.
So I would rather. Well, it's the truth. I don't want to sit at work and dwell on. I didn't like that as much. I'd rather be excited to get back home later that day and get back to work instead of being like, oh shit, like I don't know about that sentence or that I don't like that phrase. I don't know. I edit as I go. I will write, and then the next day I'll go back to what I wrote and I'll just kind of tinker with stuff and edit it a little bit, and then that kind of gets me in the mindset of like the sentence flow as I flow into the new words going out. So yeah, that's kind of how I work. I've never been a word vomit person as I'm writing, so I have learned how to write faster with the editing as I go, but it's
Awesome. And our last reader question is from Ray Howe, and he said, I've read a couple of this author's stories and anthologies. I need to dig deeper into his work. Drainage and Battered Broken Bodies was fantastic. So Ray loved that one, and he asked,
that is nasty.
Well, I think that might pertain to his question too, because he wants to know if there's any subjects that are off limits to you when you're writing, and if so, why.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's anything necessarily off limits. The fucking doorbell is ringing. That's great.
Is it Domino's, dude?
I don't know, but somebody's ringing the doorbell over and over, and my parents are downstairs, and I don't think they can hear it. Can somebody get the door, please?
I hope it's not a fucking serial killer, because that would be really crazy.
I don't know. I don't know who's at the door right now.
Bring them on. Bring them on the show.
What was the question again?
Taboo subjects.
Anything off limits for you?
No, I don't know. I haven't. I mean, I'm sure there's a few things, but I haven't. I don't know. I guess I'm not overly writing like extreme stuff. I think honestly, Drainage might be the most extreme thing I've written. That and my story in what was that? That last one. Story. Gorefest, the one in Gorefest, the negative one. I don't know. I mean, I guess now that I'm a parent, I hate to throw that out there, but like I hate I don't know, maybe like a baby's thing, but I don't know. I haven't quite.
Yeah, you got a fucking piss rolling off, dude. You're gonna really.
Why?
The author of Unbortion,
yeah.
Story, Aaron, with the baby.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't quite found like that thing that I won't write about yet. But then again, I'm sure there is, but like just off the cuff right now, I can't think of anything necessarily. But yeah, Drainage in particular, that story is pretty disgusting. That one was about a dermatologist that was like strapped a guy down and was just like popping like cysts and zits and stuff on him and just like eating it as she was going, and she like got off on it and stuff. It's pretty nasty. I had fun with that one, but I was like, this is like, if I'm gonna go all out for this antho, I might as well just go all out. So
yeah, of course.
I don't know.
That's a cool concept. I like it.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. Like I got weirdly like momentarily fascinated with like those pimple popping videos because they're kind they're kind of like relaxing to watch, sort of. Yeah, I don't know. I know that's very strange, but I don't know. I was watching them real heavily for like a while on YouTube. It's just. I don't know, I shouldn't be fucking admitting that, but I don't know. And then I was like, and then Matt asked me to do that story, and I was thinking about it for a long time. I was like, I got to do something that I haven't seen before because I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. And then that thought came up, and I went, okay, guess I could do this nasty shit. So I don't know. I just did that one.
Well, it appears to have been a hit. This is the point where Carver would probably ask you a question, but since he's collecting bull semen at the moment, we're going to step in, and we want to ask you though a little bit about self-publishing, because I know that recently you've sort of transitioned some of your work into self-publishing. So I'm assuming you're a hybrid right now, sort of. You have some traditionally published and some self-published. Any kind of update that you want to give us, I guess, would probably be the best thing. Like, as far as how's that going for you? Do you like the self-publishing? Because as you know, on this podcast, it's a big topic. So it'd be interested to know your experience.
Yeah, I've always kind of I don't know how to say this. I self-published at the beginning of my career. Like my first 3 books were self-published. I put out a very like a tiny little short story collection years ago that's been out of print now called Unfit for Burial, and it was just like 4 early short stories. And then my first novel, The Betrayed, and then my first novella, Closing Costs, were all self-published. And I don't know, I wasn't seeing much success with that, and I really wasn't happy doing it. And I wanted to be like a traditionally published author for a long time, and for the last several years I have been. And then I just kind of started dipping my toes back into the self-publishing thing because I just I don't know, I kind of wanted a little bit more control of my stuff. Yeah, it's been interesting. It's been interesting for the last few months doing it, and then like the novella that I'm working on right now, I'm going to be self-publishing under my self-publishing imprint, South of Heaven Press. I'll tell you, it's expensive. Self-publishing is expensive. I'm learning that now. I'm working with an artist right now, actually, and he's doing the cover, and he's going to be doing the interior and everything. So basically, he's just going to be doing all the work, and he's giving me a good price, but it's not cheap. So that's the one thing I am learning right now, going back to self-publishing, is that it's expensive and it's time consuming, and it's hard. It's hard work, but I want to be hybrid, but I also, like I said, I want a little bit more control over my own work, and I'm already putting a lot of the work of promotion and stuff into it. So like, why not make all the money instead of half the money?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We talk about betting on yourself a lot, and it's like, if you do write that one book that takes off, more so maybe than even anything else that you've written prior, like hopefully it's the one that you have that full control over, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because then it's like, and plus you've built up your reputation via these publishers, and your own work, of course. That's not to say that's not the case. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. But so it's like, I think, look, you self-publishing now as to self-publishing when you maybe just started, it's like kind of like night and day, probably, right? Like,
yeah, it's much different. I've over the last like 4 or 5 years have gained a readership, and I don't know how big that readership is, but I do know it is there. So now I don't have to like build from scratch. I mean, I'm hoping that these readers will continue to follow me, whether I'm putting out traditionally published stuff or self-published stuff. So yeah, I'm in a good place right now. I'm happy. Things could always be better, but things could always be worse. So
yeah. One of the big wins for self-publishing that just came out recently, and it's not horror related, but it's fantasy related, is Brandon Sanderson. He is a very, very prolific fantasy author, and he did a Kickstarter to raise money to self-publish 4 books. He was looking for $1 million. He was up to like almost $23 million, and it still has like 26 days left.
That's crazy.
So again, he's been out for, I don't know when he published Elantris, probably like 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. So he's been around for a little while, but he's traditionally published mainly through Tor, and now
he also finished the Wheel of Time series,
which I think was kind of his bigger break, because I had never heard of him prior to that, but I was a huge Wheel of Time fan. So when I saw him finishing that, I was like, oh, let me read up on this guy, and he is amazing. Obviously, his readership is ravenous, and the guy made $20-something million overnight. And he's going to self-publish the books. So that's just a crazy thing. And a lot of authors were, not a lot, but some authors were kind of like mad at him for it, because like, well, what are we going to do? And you're kind of you're ruining things for us. But good for him.
Never understand that.
The guy is awesome. He's super. He seems like he's a nice guy. He teaches college classes, so you can like watch his classes online for free.
Oh, that's cool.
On YouTube. He's got a lot. If you're a fantasy author, or you have any kind of world building books, definitely check out his channel on YouTube for sure. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
fuck the haters. Let him fucking make his
fuck
money.
that. Fuck that, dude. I
Fuck
mean,
them all.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm human. I get jealous of other writers and their success, but at the same time, I'm happy for them. You know, you want to get to that. You want to get to that level, or at least hope you get to that level too. But I mean, it's only natural, but it's not like something I'm going to like dwell on or get pissed off at them about. I'm just like, all right, that's what I want to get to. That's the level I want to try to get to. You know, I'm really, really, really good friends with author Chris Triana, and I would love to be able to try to get to like the level that he's at right now, because he's just having just crazy success, and I'm so happy for him. And there's stuff that I know that's going on behind the scenes with him that nobody else knows, and it's really good stuff. It's good stuff, and it's I love the guy to death, but I see it and I'm just like, shit, like that's what I want to get to right now. I want to get to that level. But I mean, I know we all look at other people like that, but at the same time, you got to kind of put the horse blinders on and just keep on your path. Think good things will happen. You know, I've had some good things that have happened. You know, in just recently. I mean, I've just signed a couple of more foreign translation deals. Like with a Spanish publisher and an Italian publisher, and I just signed a film option deal for a short film to be made of one of my short stories just like a week or so ago. So. You know, you never know. It's been weird. It completely came out of the blue, and I was just like, okay, we'll see what happens. You know, we'll see what happens. I don't know. It seems like it's gonna happen, so I don't know. But you never know, man. You just gotta keep. You gotta sound like Joe Dirt. You gotta keep on keeping on. You know, you just
life's a garden, man.
Keep looking straight ahead, and focus on your stuff. And just do the best job you can fucking do, and that's all you can do as a writer. You know, just try not to pay attention to too much of other people's stuff, and just do what you got to do to be the most successful version of the writer you.
I mean, they can be glass half empty or glass half full, because it's like the people that are, you know, looking at the fantasy author that made 24 million and bitching and moaning about it. You know, it's like, why aren't you looking at that like? Well, this guy's opening doors. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like,
hell yeah.
Like that should be something to feel good about. Like that.
Yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
fucking possibility. You know what I mean?
So it's like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, I used to think that was bullshit. Like when people would be like, "Oh, if I can do it, you can do it." You know, and they're on TV in a fucking $1 million suit. You know what I mean? And you're just like, yeah, right, dude. It's real. That stuff's real. It is real. It just depends how committed you are. So that's good.
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you shared that, Daniel. It's inspirational shit.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know anything about the Brandon Sanderson stuff until like yesterday. My wife and I were driving around town, and she saw a thing about it on her phone, and she told me about it. And my first reaction was, "Holy shit, good for him! That fucking rocks."
Shit's crazy.
23 million.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think like the majority of that's actually going. I think she told me that he was writing like 4 books, and he was going to release them quarterly, but he was creating like a
subscription,
like a subscription like box set that's supposed to come out every month for his readers. That's going to like have to do with like his other works, and then like quarterly that new book will be in the box and stuff. I was like, that fucking rocks. Like if I was a fantasy reader and I was into his stuff, I would have fucking thrown in for that. In a heartbeat. That rocks.
Yeah, so he did, the way his Kickstarter works, he has certain tiers. So all 4 books are done. So anything under like $40 is just a donation. If you donate $40 and above, it was like you get all 4 of the books in ebook format. If you donate this much, you get each of them, you know, in paperback quarterly. If you donate X amount, and I think by the highest level was $500. And if you donate $500, you got a different box every month. Each box quarterly was one of the new books, and every other month was one of his older books, autographed with like specific merch that he made up. So for $500, you're getting 12 books, and some of which are signed, and some of which are brand new. So I mean, it's fucking genius. That's all I'm gonna say.
I hope for $500 that box is doing some sexual favors too. Jesus
It
Christ.
is. There's a hole. There's a hole in it. He actually had a picture of it. A photo.
Careful of the
It's like
paper
a
cuts.
special- Yeah, it's got a hole inside. Just stick it in here.
Yeah.
His
Real
his fucking covers better be done by like Picasso or some shit for that, you know? Like-
Reincarnated.
Yeah.
Wesley,
What's up?
now that you're writing so much and you have the baby and your family and everything else, do you find you have a time to read? Do you like do a lot of reading as well?
Oh, I do. I'm always reading something. I always have a book in my hand. Most of my best reading gets done at work. You know, I read a lot on my breaks or like when I'm in the bathroom shitting. I don't get a lot. Yeah, exactly. Like I love shitting on company time. Most of my reading is done at work. Honestly, I hate that because I have a hard time reading at home because like I said, the wife and the kid are at home, and there might be something we want to watch together, and I don't know. It's kind of hard to just sit on the couch while they're watching something and just sitting there reading. I get kind of distracted like that. But I try to read a little bit at night before I go to bed. But yeah, like I said, most of my best reading is done at work on my breaks. So
Awesome.
but yeah, I'm always reading. I used to read over 100 books a year. Now I'm down to like maybe half that, but I still buy the same amount. So I'm still have like a shitload of books, but I'm not reading as much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Is there a book that like something you've read in the past that like one of your favorite books that you can go back to and reread again and again and again?
Oh man, my favorite book of all time is I Am Legend. I love that book. I try to read that book at least once a year. I don't reread a whole lot. Honestly, there's just too much good stuff coming out all the time to kind of go back and reread stuff. I several years ago I reread a lot of Keen's early stuff, but yeah, I don't reread a whole lot. I like to kind of just continuously consume the new stuff that's always coming out.
Gotcha.
I like that. I like getting that shiny new book in the mail, even if I don't get to it immediately. Like I love holding that new book and smelling that new book and rubbing it on my face and.
Ooh.
I love that. That's my favorite part.
Yeah.
The videos you send me of rubbing books on yourself. It's nice.
Mr. Librarian, hello.
That's our OnlyFans. OnlyFans, written red OnlyFans, guys.
Oh, dude, I was talking about starting an OnlyFans where I just get new books in the mail and I'll just.
Ooh,
Do it.
yeah.
Do it. I'm subscribing.
It's working already.
Go lower.
Go lower.
Well, I think we got. I always like to hear about adversity personally because I think it's those adverse events that sort of build us and build our character and who we are. And I think a lot of the aspiring writers and people who are starting their writing career listening to this probably going to want to hear some of those moments. So I'd like to ask you, what's the most difficult challenge that you faced in writing horror? And maybe you did or didn't conquer it, but if you did, how did you do it? And this could range. It could be a personal criticism. It could be success related. Anything really.
I've actually thought about this a lot, and I've thought about this answer if this was ever asked. If I was on a panel, or something at a con. This is not going to be a popular answer. This isn't going to be an easy answer, but it's a real answer. Realizing that nobody is going to care about your work more than you do. Your readers will care about your work. If your spouse loves you and she accepts what you do, then they'll love your work. But your family, more often than not, they're just like, oh, you're a writer, that's great. Mm-hmm. Your friends, oh, that's cool what you do. Okay. Most of them aren't going to buy your stuff. Most of the time you're going to be at a holiday party and they're going to be like, oh, that's so cool, you're a writer. I'll never read what you write. I don't read that stuff. But that's nice that you do that. It's just I think that's kind of the hardest part, is just kind of accepting that more often than not you're going to be your biggest fan and your biggest supporter and other than maybe your immediate spouse, and that's hard because you want everybody to read your stuff. You want your family and your friends and your best friends and people at work or whatever. You want that recognition for being, I guess, an entertainer or whatever. But it's not. More often than not, it doesn't work out like that. It just doesn't. People have their own things. It is what it is. But it's the sooner you can accept that, the better off you are.
Mm. Yeah, and reading's sort of a lost art in a lot of ways, and it's like, so the odds of these people in your life, and I know what you're saying. It's like it's not, for me. It's not like, I don't want to say it like a selfish thing, like, but I'd like to share. You know what I mean? And just like sort of open the door. And it's like, with film or with music, you can sort of encapsulate these experiences and make them very consumable. Whereas sitting down and reading an entire book, it's just not going to happen with the way attention spans have evolved at this point in society.
Oh, yeah.
So I totally hear you. But, congrats again on the film option thing. Maybe that's another medium that can help you out.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. The guy's been in constant contact with me. He wants me to know like what's going on, and he was telling me he's got some. I don't know where this band is from, but he was telling me he's got a band that's doing music for it and stuff. And I mean, this has all literally happened within the last like week and a half or so, and it just happened through like Facebook Messenger. So I was immediately like, "What is this? Like, I don't know if this is legit or not." And then I sent it to. I actually took some screenshots of it and sent it to Brian Keene and was like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And he was like, he was reading through it and he was like, I mean, I think it seems legit. And then I was showing him the email that the guy had sent me, and he was like, "Yeah, it seems legit. Like, go for it." And we worked on a small contract together, and yeah, for like the last week and a half, he's been in contact with me and really into the whole project. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's only going to be it's just going to be a short film, but yeah, I'm excited. It's cool. Like, and weirdly enough, like this is actually the second time that someone's contacted me about this particular story. So, and nothing happened the first time. It was another person that bought a book from me at a convention in Pittsburgh, actually. And I guess he had like a little movie company, but like he just contacted me a couple of times and was asking about it, and he seemed really into it, and then just kind of disappeared on me. So who knows? Maybe he made it and didn't tell me. I don't know, but yeah.
It goes back to that fucking when we were talking about bands and how writing's awesome because you control everything. You get into that movie game, it's fucking thousands of people potentially involved in it. So it's like, but
I was going to ask about that. So given that like somebody's going to take this and try and make it into a movie, and you don't have your hands in the pot as much as you could because you're not in the same location, does that make you feel iffy about letting them have that much control?
I mean, I've thought about that a lot too before even any of this happened. I've thought about, what if someone made made it like a film or a short film or a feature length thing of one of my works, and what if it sucks? Like, what if it's embarrassing? Like, what if it sucks and you don't want to talk about it in public or you don't want to talk about it online or anything? But you know what? It's somebody else's vision of your work.
Mm-hmm.
And the sooner you can kind of get over your like, oh no, it's mine, don't touch it, don't rewrite the dialogue, don't add this or add that. I think as soon as you get over that, I think it's gonna be fine. Like I trust the guy. I think he's gonna do a good job. He was throwing me some ideas, some stuff to add to the story to kind of help flesh it out. And I was like, yeah, it sounds good. Legitimately, like I was reading and I was like, yeah, go for it, man. Like you have this option now. You have 2 years to make this thing. Like, do what you got to do. I'm excited to see what happens. But King actually was just on. Stephen King was just on a podcast recently.
Kingcast.
The Kingcast, yeah. It was really good.
Bring that up.
Oh yeah. It's a good podcast. But yeah, his episode just last week was really good. But he was talking about his films and stuff, and was saying, God, what did he say? He said like. And it's the same thing that Brian Keene has told me in private. If it sucks, then it sucks. But if it sucks, then your work still exists. The book still exists. And if it's good, then that's only going to bring more light to your work. So,
awesome.
you can't really lose either way. So
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's funny too is with Stephen King is notoriously like one of his most popular movies is The Shining, and he hated the movie of The Shining.
Oh, yeah.
He did not like the ending. The ending of The Shining in the movie is a lot different than the book. The Jack Torrance character in the book is completely different than in the movie. Well, not completely, but a lot different than in the movie. But that's one of the most popular horror movies, especially Stephen King wise. And he doesn't care for it,
Crazy.
So yeah, and it is. It's just but like Wes said, it's not the book. So the movie's the movie, the book is the book. If you have a good screenwriter that is willing to get some input from you, great. If not, they paid you for it. Let them have at it. And yeah, it's the same thing with foreign contracts. I have a couple foreign contracts as well, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck they're translating it. If it might look like shit in another language, but they
it could
paid
just be
me.
the word dick written over and over in Spanish. You never
I
know.
don't know. So, but they paid me for it. They're putting their time and money into it, and my original version still exists as it is, and this is kind of almost their version.
Yep. So it become like, it's the kind of corny thing of saying, like, as soon as you publish the book, it's not yours anymore. It's your readers. It's the reader's book now. So
yeah.
Is there anybody that you like another author, let's say, that you think people should read more of? Anybody that you'd want to sort of prop up, because we usually like to spotlight somebody.
My boy, my very, very,
cool.
very close friend, Mr. Wiley Young. His new book just came out recently, Shades of the Black Stone. I'm about a third of the way through it. Mr. Wiley, I always have to stop myself from actually saying his real name because his name is obviously not fucking Wiley Young. I think he's a fantastic writer. He's a very good friend of mine. We actually just did a show in Charlotte, North Carolina together a few weeks ago. I think more people need to be reading his stuff. He's fantastic. This book so far is probably going to, if it goes the way I think it's going to go, it's probably going to end up being my favorite thing that he's written. But I mean, he won a Splatterpunk Award last year for his splatter western, The Magpie Coffin. Fucking fantastic book. The book that he co-wrote with Stephen Kosniewski, another very, very close friend of mine, The Perfectly Fine House, is a fucking great book about, like, it's kind of like a reverse haunted house story. His other novel, his first novel, Catfish in the Cradle, is a great first novel. He's growing exponentially all the time. He's got so much stuff in the works coming out in the next couple of years. I mean, he's got so much shit about to come out. Like, people don't even realize he's about to bukkake books all over everybody's fucking face here in the next 2 years.
Dude, that's the magic word for rolling. You would care.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think more people need to be reading Mr. Wiley, especially this book. This has been a very enjoyable read and a very, very cool idea. But yeah, more people need to be reading Mr. Young.
Is that horror? That new book? Is that pretty much?
Yes. It's a book from Death's Head Press that came out, I think, in early January. But I waited to get my copy from him at the show we did so he could sign it for me. But yeah.
Yeah, I read The Magpie Coffin. I've only read a few of the splatter westerns, but that was a perfect book to start that series with, and it was awesome. Like, it was just dark, characters were excellent, the violence was fucking spot on, everything about it was just fast paced and just brutal. So
that was his coming out party with that book. That was his. I'd read some of his early stuff and it was good, but that one in particular, he really hit a groove with his writing, and he really found his style in that one. Sorry, I'm like swallowing. He really found his writing style in that book, and it's continued to roll over even to this other one here that I'm reading. And yeah, it's good stuff. He's a hell of a writer. He's just going to keep getting better and better. And we're actually going to write a book together probably within the next couple of years. I don't know when we're going to get to it, but we did a show together in Kansas City, Crypticon Kansas City, back in July of last year, and we were making a drive, about 45-minute drive from Kansas City to Lawrence, Kansas, because there was some like Mongolian barbecue place he wanted to go to. So we were on the road for like 45 minutes, and we were like, we wanted to write a book together, and we've been trying to spitball ideas, and we're both really, really big Bentley Little fans, like huge Bentley Little fans. And we were like, we should do like a Bentley Little pastiche of some sort. So we were trying to come up with like, what has Bentley Little not done yet? So he's done the everything. He's done fucking everything. What's the one thing that he hasn't done the of yet? So we were going back and forth trying to figure something out. We were both like, I don't like that, I don't like that. And then he threw out that one, and we both just got quiet and then looked at each other. We were like, holy fuck, he has not done that yet. Oh my God. And we just lost our fucking minds. We were like two little kids. We're like, oh, and we got to do this. And we got to do that. We got to do this. We got to do that. And we still do that occasionally when we talk on the phone. And we're like, oh my God, dude, this is going to be the Bentley Little novel that man wishes he wrote. He's going to be pissed that he did not write this fucking book. So yeah, hopefully within the next couple of years we'll be able to get to it, because we're both so backed up with other projects that we have to do. But I am so looking forward to writing that one. But yeah.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, dude. Oh, congratulations. I'm sure everybody's going to be looking forward to it.
Yeah, we'll see.
We usually end with this question, but then we have just a couple more things. But from a horror writing perspective, when you're like 80 or 90 or whenever you're getting ready to kick the bucket and you're looking back on everything, what's it going to take for you to feel a true sense of satisfaction? Like where you can say, okay, I did it the way I wanted to do it, and like I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. Like what's the goals?
That's a really good question. I don't know, man. I just hope I just entertain people. I mean, at the end of the day, as corny as it sounds, I mean, we're entertainers. This is what we're doing. We're writing something to take people's mind off of the world. I just hope in 50 years somebody will be able to find one of my books and just sit and enjoy it and just be like, holy shit, that was awesome. Like, man, that was awesome. I want to talk to somebody about it. And, for the longest time, when I was still living here in Indiana, like I didn't have a lot of other horror reader friends. So I just would read something and would be like, fuck, I just want to talk to somebody about it. But there's nobody to fucking talk about this about. Shit. I'm just like, really pissed. And that's what I hope that like 50, 60, 70, 100 years from now, if somebody can find my stuff online after I'm gone, I'm just hoping that I can just provide just a couple of hours of entertainment and reprieve from their lives, and that's all you can hope for, man. You're never going to be the next Stephen King or even the next Brian Keene for that matter, but you just hope that you leave even just a little mark in your chosen field, your chosen genre, and that's really all you can hope for, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're entertainers, and making money off of this is great, but it's very difficult to write for a living, especially horror.
Yeah.
Maybe romance or something like that. But I think there's nothing better than getting the reviews or getting the private messages from people that say, "Hey, I really like this." Whether it was like a life-changing event, or you're like, "Wow, this is really good." Like when I wrote Left to You, I had people that messaging me and like, "Oh, my grandfather was in the Holocaust, and this book was really moving in these scenes." And some people I just got a 1-star review on it the other day. One guy's like, "This is fucking shit. You're a scumbag." Like the whole 9 yards of it. So I was like, but it doesn't bother me because it didn't resonate with that person.
Yeah.
But when I get those,
plus it's kind of true. It's kind of true.
It is, but not in the book. I mean, personally, yes. But when we get the readers and they reach out and they say, "Hey, I really enjoyed your book," like that's so worth it, and that's why. Like one of the reasons we want to have you and Lucas, especially in the show, is you're doing it right. You interact with the readers, you talk to people, you're not a dick. We always say that, like one of our catchphrases is "Don't be a fucking piece of shit," and you guys aren't. You're not out there posting political things or polarizing things. You're all about the horror and
nobody needs to know what I give a shit about politics. I already hate politics anyway. I will occasionally, if I got a wild hair at my ass, just post something. But like I try to post funny shit or just pictures with my kid or whatever. But I don't know. I there's nothing, honestly, and I'm not just saying this to like fish for more of this or anything, but like there's nothing that makes me happier in this world than hearing from a reader that either they post publicly online or they get in touch with me in private about how much they like something that I did. It makes it worth it, because you spend so much time by yourself writing, and You don't know if this is complete shit or not. You know, the thing that I'm working on right now that I'm about to finish, like, I think it's cool. I think it's a really unique idea. I don't know if I've seen this idea before. I don't know. But maybe it does exist. I don't know. But I just keep thinking, like, who's going to like this? I just hope somebody likes this. And you just never know. And so, like, when you do hear from readers, it's very, very, very satisfying, and it really makes my day. You know, I work a job where I'm kind of miserable at my job most of the time, and somebody will occasionally reach out, like, in the middle of the day while I'm at work, and I'm just like, God, this has just made this so much easier to get through my day now. I'm in such a better mood now, and
it's always nice too when it's one of your peers. You know, when you have another author that reaches out and says, "Hey, I really," even if it's not public, just private message like, "Hey, I finished your book. I really liked it. You know, great job. I can't wait to see where it goes next." You know, that's always really cool.
Yeah, as far as your listeners, like, don't hesitate to reach out to an author and tell them you enjoy their work. You never know. It's like anybody. You never know what they're going through or what kind of mood they're in that day, or if they're having a shitty day or even a good day. You just, like, something like that, it will always make anybody's day. Like, I'm sure the three of you and even Bull Seaman Carver probably likes to hear from readers too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
he's harvesting right now.
Harvesting.
Harvest.
It's like sometimes when we get those messages, you know, you got the fucking gun in your mouth, and then they're like, "Hey, I like the slob." Really? Oh, no way!
I'm blushing.
One more day on this planet. You know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of the readers, though, you know, they are the magic behind our success, of course, and we do it for them. Well, we do it for ourselves and to tell our stories, but ultimately, you know, always hearing from them is incredible, and so we try to recognize at least one reader. Is there any particular reader that you'd like to give a shout out today?
Yeah, absolutely. Reader and blogger and reviewer Erica Robin. She has been a very loud, avid supporter of not only my work, but of all of our work and everybody in the horror genre. She's a huge horror fanatic. She is a great reviewer, a very sweet person. She's bought many books from me. She's really cool. She has a website called ericarobinreads.com. She's very easy to find on Twitter as well. So it's just Erica Robin, ROBYN. And she is an occasional co-host on the Dead Headspace podcast. She does a really good job on that one too. And she's been doing author interviews on her blog recently. Yeah, she's just a really cool person. I always like hearing from her online and seeing what she's up to and seeing what her opinions are on certain books. And yeah, Erica, she rocks.
I just found her on Twitter.
A long time. Yeah,
I just followed her on Twitter, so she definitely tells she's a reader. She's got all her horror fan, Islander at heart. Like she's got a lot of cool posts and stuff, and like you said, the Dead Headspace is on there as well. So that's great because that's not a reader. Generally, with the four of us, we usually share a lot of the same readers. So that's not somebody that I had before. So that's great. You know, it's another great piece of somebody for me to follow who will hopefully follow me back and can find some new stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
Real quick, trying to fucking get them extra sales, huh, Danny?
You got it. You gotta respect the fucking hustle.
He has no fucking shame. God damn it.
There's no shame.
I
You see
love
these
it.
fucking dolls in the background? I gotta pay for these fucking things. They're expensive.
Yo,
Damn, that New York accent really comes out when you get angry.
Wait till I'm at scares and I'm fucking hammered, screaming at people.
I can't wait. But yeah, thank you, Erica, for being a supporter of horror. We appreciate you too, just in general. You know, that's
absolutely.
really cool. And I'd be remiss if I didn't just give a quick shout out myself today to Jessica Shelley. She pretty much like bought all my work recently, and just super nice person. And you know, totally when somebody goes all in, I mean, what the fuck can you say? Except this is. Oh yeah. I hope you like it. You know, but she does. So she's already got it, and she already bought Nightmare Nirvana too. So. I wanted to give her a belated shout out. Thank you very much, Jessica. And guys, I don't know if you guys, is there anybody pressing on your mind that you need to recognize, or if not, it's fine.
What's Mary Danner? Is that her name? We've talked about it.
Let's talk about Mary. Roland, you're frozen over there.
I love Mary. Is it?
Yeah, what was that?
Oh, there you go. Now you're
shit.
back.
That was the biggest smile I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was fucking
Just
creepy.
went
Like
off.
Stepford Wives shit there, Roland.
My whole screen went black, and I was sitting there like, "Oh shit, what happened?"
Yeah, I mean, there's so many good ones out there. Mary obviously is great. You know, we do get that occasional that reader that will just, like Aaron said, they'll just go all in. You know, I have a few that were international readers that just jump on and they'll buy everything, which is crazy to me, because I always tell them, like, hey, listen, you know, I'm in the States, so your shipping is going to be like $40. So like, I don't care, just give me a price. And
I had a guy from Britain, I believe his name is Justin Robbins, bought one of everything from me a few months ago, and I was like, dude, you know this shipping is going to be horrible, right? As long as you're okay with that, I'm happy to do it. I mean, I've shipped books to Germany, and I just shipped a book to a dude in Finland, actually. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then I tried to ship a book to a guy in New Zealand, and I found out that apparently the USPS is not shipping to New Zealand right now. So I was kind of bummed.
Oh, wow.
That I was kind of like bummed that I couldn't get him something. But yeah, I have no problem shipping stuff overseas. It's just as long as they're cool with the shipping costs. But it's always exciting knowing somebody like on the other side of the planet like wants to buy your something, but buy your stuff so much that they're willing to spend like the really awful shipping costs for your work. You know,
I just had a woman
crazy.
message me in Australia, and I told her, I was like, I'll look up the postage for it. I said, but it's going to be astronomical.
Yeah.
One person I will recognize real quick, and Aaron, we've dealt with him. He's awesome. David Johns. Dude is
he's
super.
awesome.
I don't know if we've ever covered him before, but if we did, he deserves it again. That guy goes out of his way to get signed copies. He pre-ordered 2 copies of Only Psychos. He's like, I want a flat signed hardcover just to have. And he's like, I want to have a reading copy of a paperback.
He did the same shit for me. Like with Nightmare Divine, he got both of them. I'm just like,
he's like,
dude, you
he's like, I
sure,
want
man?
both
Like
books.
this.
That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So David's awesome. He's always cool, reaches out and just kind of bullshits with us. So, you know, I definitely appreciate, you know, his support. He's always cool guy to talk with.
You know what it is, guys? Like, I feel like you guys will probably relate to this too. It's like, because I would fucking do that for some horror shit that I really liked. You know what I mean? Like, I would easily pay the shipping, like, if it was some fucking cool, weird, like, obscure kind of thing. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think that's why, like, you know, I relate to these people, because I share that passion, you know? Like, it's fucking...
Well, it's the same thing. We buy signed copies off of our, you know, our peers and stuff. Like, all of Wes's books that I have here are all signed. I could have bought them probably cheaper on Amazon, but I like making that personal connection. I want to, you know, have that interaction with him. So
I was personally trying to rip you off a little bit too. So.
No, I know.
Shit.
I could tell because I'm in New York. So you think, well, we got fucking money even in New York.
Yeah,
But my taxes are fucking through the roof. So fuck you.
gotta make that cream, man. Gotta make that cheddar.
Yeah, but it's that personal connection, and you know, like Aaron said, paying for that cool shit it's always worth it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And last question, Wes, is we like to, you know, leave our listeners with something fun, I guess. So if you want to give us just a book promo, you know, what you're most passionate about. I think you might have mentioned that it was Cruel Summer. But, you know, if it's something else, feel free to switch it up. But, you know, just let them know
Pimp yourself.
What that fucking book is and why they should check it out, you know?
Nudity is acceptable too, like a little bit.
I know. I was just about to take these out and take my shirt off. I don't know. I'm so fucking fat. I don't want to do that.
PHAT.
Yeah, PHAT. Yeah, actually, I would like to talk about at least one book. It's actually my book that I wrote with Lucas Mangum, The Final Gate. Actually, yeah, you have a copy of it. Actually, mine's sitting over here.
I'll hold it up because you're not prepared. It's all right.
Oh, no, I got it right here. Right here. I got it.
I got mine first, but it's all right.
That's another book that we've been kind of trying to find an audience for. It's a weird book. It's a weird idea. So several months ago, I guess earlier last year, I guess, author Brian Smith posted on Facebook, if you could write the novelization to any horror movie that didn't have a novelization, what would you do? And me being the nerdy fucking Lucio Fulci fan, I was like, oh man, I would love to do the novelization of City of the Living Dead. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. I think I could knock that one out of the park. I would love to do that. So Lucas came on and said, oh man, I'd love to do the Beyond. You know, I think I could do the Beyond Justice and this and that. And we were going back and forth about stuff, and you know, he's a big Fulci nerd too, and we were like, oh yeah, we could do this and that and this and that. Okay, yeah, cool. So I didn't think anything about it. But then I started thinking about, like, man, we're never going to get another Fulci movie. The guy's been dead since the mid-'90s. You know, his heyday was really the early 80s, but we're never going to get another one of those awesome Gates of Hell movies. Fuck it, why don't I just write one? You know, I want to just write one and see what happens. But then I was like, well, why don't I co-write it with Lucas? Because Lucas and I are good friends, and the first time we met, we talked about maybe co-writing something eventually. And you know, I'm a big fan of his work. I've read almost all of his stuff. He's got a great writing style. I think it would match mine fairly well. And I got in touch with him, and we started talking about it, and I pitched him this idea of what I thought this book could be, and he was into it, and we wrote it, and we're both extremely happy with it. And yeah, so it's basically like a lost Lucio Fulci film in prose form. I mean, hell, we even have like Italian like script at the beginning of it that would look like the opening credits of a movie, you know, things like that. It's got this amazing intro by Ryan Harding. Ryan Harding did such a fucking awesome job with that intro. I think it's actually my favorite thing about the book is that intro. But yeah, I really, really love this book. I love how it came out. I think the cover rocks. It's fun, but we've been kind of having a little bit more of a difficult time getting it into the right reader's hands, because I've noticed, especially at these conventions that I do, that even when I do find other Fulci fans, I found that that viewership and that doesn't really necessarily mesh with like a readership in finding that those people that would be into this. But the people that have read it, the people that read it and got what we were going for, really, really, really loved it. So yeah, we're both really, really happy with the way it came out, and are hoping to gain a more of a readership for that book. So yeah, if you think that sounds cool, even if you don't know anything about these movies, the intro that Ryan Harding wrote perfectly explains everything, and you don't even necessarily need to know anything about those movies. I mean, we based it on like City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, and House by the Cemetery, and there's other little Easter eggs of old Fulci stuff in there. But you don't need to know anything about those movies. You can just read this story from beginning to end and not have to know anything about those things. But if you do, you're going to pick up on all the little subtleties and all that stuff in there, and the mood and the atmosphere that we tried so hard to make sure that it fit those movies, you know, in a prose form. So yeah, if people want to check out The Final Gate by Lucas and I, it is out through Encyclopocalypse Publishing. It's on Amazon. We both have copies at home that we're selling if you'd like a signed copy of it. Yeah, The Final Gate. It's a lot of fun. It's gory. It's like I said, it's like reading a lost Fulci movie in prose form. So
awesome. Sounds really cool, dude. Sounds like a great untapped concept, you know, which is always good. That's what we like to hear. Fresh shit. And I think that's what the readers look for too, you know, different stuff that's different. So like you said, it's a weird thing with finding an audience for it, but hopefully you do. Hopefully maybe some of our readers can check it out. And yeah, it's been great having you, man. Is there anything else you want to drop as far as your socials to let people know where they could reach you and stuff like that?
I'm very, very, very easy to find online. My website is wesleysouthard.com. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, just Wesley Southard. Again, I'm pretty easy to find. I'm on TikTok, even though I can't fucking figure it out. Daniel apparently has it down somehow, but I'm fucking old. I can't figure it out. I feel like an old man when I'm trying to edit videos on that fucking app.
It is tricky. It is tricky.
It is very tricky. But yeah, I'm easy to find. I'm easy in touch with. If anybody, wants to say nice things to me, I can respond. Or if you want to buy signed books from me, I've got books at home. I can sell, and just.
What about the fucking weirdos? Is your door open to the weirdos too?
Yeah, we always try to reserve them for Roland, but if you want some weirdos, we'll send them to you.
I shouldn't even say this because I feel like I'm opening myself up to this. I have a really hard time dealing with weird people online, especially in private messages. I don't enjoy it. I don't think it's funny, and I don't know. I hate that I'm admitting this because I'm gonna get so much bullshit after this comes out. But like,
I'm gonna make like 4 ghost accounts.
Right, I'm fucking spamming right now, dude.
Yeah, I know. I don't deal with the weirdness well. I don't like it. It really bothers me. I don't know.
So when we're at Scares, so you're going to Scares That Care AuthorCon, correct? Let's put that up there for the people. Yep. So I'll probably be wearing a pink flamingo shirt with a pink flamingo fanny pack. So if I press that fanny pack against you, will that weird you out in any way, shape, or form?
No, hold it against me. I don't care.
Okay.
That's fine.
I'm just checking. Okay.
Tremendous. It's going to be a great time again.
Yes, it is.
Coming up very soon, guys. So for any of our listeners or viewers that haven't got it, definitely check it out. We'll do another post in the Written in Red Facebook group for you guys too to check it out. And
it's going to be a great time until I pass out on the panel.
Oh no, Roland, you're going to get
my God,
overwhelmed.
Yeah. I forgot about that panel. There's going to be like 14 of us on that panel.
Yeah.
It's a big ass panel.
14 of us.
Yeah, so that's not a lot of pressure, actually.
Jay Wilburn said he's going to fight me on that panel. So he was like, he's like, if you mention it, you beat me in the fucking gross out contest, we're going to fight. Yeah. So Jay, I don't want to kick the shit out of him.
So I can kick up some shit.
And then Kazunuski will be there, and I beat him too. So
Yeah.
All right. Forever. Well, thanks again. We're going to do our little outros too, real quick. Again, my name is Aaron Beauregard, horror author of such monstrosities as a slob and whatnot. Feel free to reach out to me as well if you want any signed copies, or pretty much all my stuff's on Amazon. But be on the lookout for Modern Hysteria. That's my next big release. I'm very excited about that one. Daniel?
Daniel J. Volpe. Pretty much go by that on all social media platforms. Again, you reach out to me, private message if you want any signed books. My new book, Only Psychos, should be out when this airs, so check that out. And everything else on Amazon, and we'll be at Scares That Care in April, so come check us out there, hang out, buy some books, talk horror. Raw Dog, Roland Bursey Jr., play us out.
Hey, Roland Bursey Jr. You can find me at my website, RolandBurseyJr.com. You can just find me on Amazon, send me a message on Facebook. I love to talk to people. I even like to talk to the weirdos. I'm just playing.
Oh, yeah.
Just playing. So, yes, please send me a message. Say hi.
Again, we are the Written in Red podcast. You can check us out on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes. Please subscribe. That helps us out. Ratings and reviews are always welcomed. But until next time... Oh, what do you got?
Carver Pike. Oh, my God.
So, Carver Pike's not here. You guys noticed. He's out harvesting bull semen for his hair. So everybody check him out. Carver Pike. He's on everywhere. You could, if you're weird, you can send him messages. He's incredible. He's beautiful. He looks like fucking grown-up Jimmy Neutron. He just looks awesome.
He does.
It's just great. Carter Pike on all social media platforms. Check him out. Send him weird shit. All right, go ahead, Aaron. Play us out now.
All right. And guys, remember, until next time, keep it 100% horror.